speaking before you today, and I feel like it is a very important and momentous occasion that we can gather together like this and show our support for consolidarity within our community. So without further ado, this is my article, or my speech, 3 Names and a Single Identity, Brandon Shin. Once upon a time, in the vibrant and sunny streets of Swanee, Georgia, there lived a boy named Brandon. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, and everyone here today can rest easy in their seats, because unless you're into that sort of thing, you don't need to picture me dancing happily around in a meadow of daffodils. Now, if you're American and you've asked for my name, I'd simply say to you, Brandon. And if you're Asian, well, surprise, it's still Brandon. Although Brandon is a very American name, you might ask me if I speak Korean or Chinese due to my Korean and Chinese heritage. The truth is, no. I was born and raised in Georgia for all of my 15 years as a native English speaker and as a full Asian American. To this, you might respond, I see. And I'd reply, I know. It's like a dance that we do, a polite acknowledgement of our shared confusement. But sometimes I'll catch a glimpse of something in your eyes that I can't quite understand. Is this a language gap? Is this a wisp of disappointment that we don't share the same cultural background? Is it because you're struggling to understand my charming Southern accent? Regardless, I've come to embrace my slightly unique heritage. After all, I've been blessed with 3 roots, and as a result, 3 names. Brandon, American, Lukai, Chinese, and Minsu, Korean. It's like having multiple identities without actually having the hassle of having a split personality. So in any case, nice to meet you all today. I'm Brandon Shin. In many places, including Swanee, Georgia, Asians don't usually have intermixed families like mine, even if we do share some common outward characteristics. Why, you may ask? Well, I would say it's like mixing oil and water, or in this case, kung pao chicken and kimchi. There are plenty of Asian ethnic groups in our community. We often interact in schools and workplaces, but at the end of the day, we tend to gravitate towards our own cultural circles. It's not that we exclude others intentionally, but it's often comforting to connect with people who might share similar backgrounds and experiences. For example, some Chinese families might speak Chinese at home, while Korean families may attend a Korean church. Like my dad just did, like my dad once did. As I was raised with both American and Asian influence, I hadn't had much exposure to certain Korean cultural elements, such as a Korean community's church. However, this changed when a friend invited me to a Korean American Christian church. And so I take my first few steps into this Korean church. It's a medium-sized building on the corner of a suburban shopping strip. Of course, the area is dominated by various K restaurants, just like a delicious boba tea shop, similar to the one that so graciously gave us all free boba today during our meal. As I make my way to the gathering room, the pastor, a young Korean man with black glasses and a trim haircut, greets me warmly. Despite his friendliness, I can't help but wonder if I'll stick out like a sore thumb in this sea of familiarity. The word hello is followed by plenty of friendly handshaking. Hi Brandon, nice to meet you. I'm Peter, says the friendly pastor. I replied back in English, hello, nice to meet you too. Despite being at least 99% Asian, I only speak English, and neither of my parents want otherwise. I've been asked many times about why I don't speak Korean or Chinese, and I always reply with the same thing. I was born in America, and my parents want me to be American. Fair is fair, and people don't usually probe further. The pastor asked me the usual question about speaking Korean, and after some additional back and forth questions, he frees me to take a look around for myself. It doesn't take long for me to find those around my age. They're easily distinguishable, with heavy K influence in the way they talk and dress. Now, in the American school system, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, these are your typical Asian students with just a few in each classroom. In a Korean church, this is the major demographic. I take a seat on the floor next to some of my new acquaintances and watch the church process with keen interest. And so I sit and listen to the pastor lecture about the religious string of mortal life and the afterlife. The first 2 centimeters, he says, of the string represents our time here on earth, and the rest of this nearly endless piece of string on the other side should not be sacrificed just for a measly 2 centimeters. Now, this is a pretty interesting metaphor I ponder silently to myself. The service moves on, and I find myself mouthing the words to a Christian song that I didn't know. In terms of music production, the room contains a mic, a drum set, and a guitar. Some of the teens have roles strumming or banging to the beat. Regardless, my feet go numb after the 12th verse, and relief courses through my veins as the song finishes. As the final notes of the song fade, I come to the realization on that floor that no matter which world I walked in, Korean or Chinese, I will not be alone in my journey. Despite my initial apprehensions about fitting in or whatnot, I realize that although we may come from different backgrounds, cultures, or religions, we are all connected by the humanity that we share together. In a world that is often divided by race, ethnicity, or culture, together we see the beauty of our heritage and how life is not just about fitting in or conforming to expectations. Instead, we choose to celebrate who we are. Thank you, everybody.